George Groves and James DeGale had one of the biggest rivalries in British boxing, and it all started back when they were young amateurs. They first fought each other as teenagers, and even then, there was tension between them. When they turned professional, their rivalry only grew stronger. George Groves beat DeGale in a close fight in 2011, which heated things even more, because DeGale was confident he would win.
And we're up to championship level, and I got to admit, I was competing with James DeGale at the time, like not directly but indirectly. You know, I wanted to get to championship level before him, because I felt like, you know, the opportunities are gonna go his way if I don't grab them before him, because he's got the name, because he's got the gold medal behind him, because he's got Frank Warren and Sky and everyone else behind him. You know, I signed with David Hay, who was fighting on Satanta, which was a brand new channel. No one was subscribing to it, and eventually it probably folded within a year of us being there. So it was almost in no man's land there, where I've got to box, you know, on other people's shows, try and get a little bit of exposure. I'm not getting the TV slots because I haven't got an Olympic medal. I had to get to championship level to, you know, just get the TV airtime.
Did DeGale keep you focused?
I think yeah. I think I would have been anyway, but definitely he was someone for me to focus on. He was a rival, you know.
Great fighter.
I love a good rival.
Yeah,
you know?
he was great.
And he's a
fighter.
very good fighter, James DeGale. Very, very good fighter. You know, he's something that I would never admit. You know, while we're competing, because it always seemed better for me to put him down. But of course, a very, very good fighter, talented fighter. We've done hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of sparring rounds together through the course of our amateur careers. So we knew each other, you know, as well as you could possibly know each other. It's just whether, and we'd even box. We'd box as an amateur, and our paths, it felt, were destined to cross.
Did you always believe that right at the start, that something big was going to happen with that?
I think so. I mean, there was a few people who had been around boxing would say, like, you know, this is huge. Like, to me, it's just like, whatever. You know, like, this, surely this comes around all the time, but it doesn't. You know, two guys from the same gym doing well, good fighters who can potentially go on to win world titles, from exactly the same place, who grew up together. It's bizarre. So
it's bizarre that you weren't friends then.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say before,
just because there was pure competition between us.
I think
to
before
be
it
the best?
became competition, I'd say we were more dynamical with each other. Like we would, you know, get on. You go on trips together. We went to Vegas one year together and stuff like that. But we never like shared a room or really got that close. But there was times where we'd have a squad training in Crystal Palace, and I'd jump a lift with him in the car. We'd cruise over there, and so there was times where I suppose we would get on. But yeah, and I quite like it that by the time we became rivals,
That victory gave Groves bragging rights, and their dislike for each other became a big talking point in British boxing. Over the years, they traded jabs in the ring and in interviews, where they would criticize each other's style, personality, and achievements. Fans loved the drama between them, and it made their fights even more exciting to watch.
we could just be at each other's throats. You know, we could. What it's all about. It's what it's all about. This is it feels like life and death at time, and it is. You know, it's who wants it most. You know, it's survival of the fittest. So I'm not here to make friends.
How did you feel after winning the Commonwealth? Were you buzzing, or were you thinking it's not enough?
Yeah, I mean, both, really. Like, chuffed and happy with the performance. I remember Adam Booth being really happy with the performance, and at that stage in my career, I think I was really receptive to his his comments and his praise. You know, I wanted to impress him. I wanted his reassurance. I felt like he was a guy who knew about pro boxing. So if he says this is good, then I'll go with it. And I felt like I'd got the jump on DeGale. Like, so at this point, the British title was probably being contested by Paul Smith, and I think he boxed Tony Dodson, and there was a Liverpool clique for a while. There was Tony Quigley and Dodson, a few others. So I was like, I want to get to that British title before DeGale gets there. I didn't, because Paul Smith was signed to Warren, and they just met. That was an easy fight for them to make. So DeGale got there first, but I feel like the Commonwealth was very important just in terms of putting my name out there and setting up what will soon become a huge domestic dust-up between me and DeGale.
Yeah, the British title comes across, like you say, you're fighting DeGale, but you were a massive underdog. Like, nobody really gave you a chance to win. Like, how was that then, from two stablemates to then becoming rivals to then... Because even when you watch... Like, I can remember it from years ago, because I feel even with the rivalries, you always seem calmer. I don't know if that's because that irritated people more, because you never seem to got agitated. You seem to have got under people's skin. Like, did you know how to push DeGale's buttons with being just not in his face?
I think that part of fighting, that part of competing, of battle or whatever you want to go into, like, is important. So every aspect of the bout we're about to take place is a fight. Not just once that first bell goes, it's before the fight, when the fight's made. Every time a camera comes out, I wanted to portray myself a particular way, and you sort of have to think on your feet and go with it. And
both fighters achieved a lot in their careers. DeGale went on to become a world champion, and Groves won his world title later.
You start off calm because you're in control. You're calm in the chaos. You're there, present in the moment, and roll with the punches, as cliche as that is. And that was kind of my approach with DeGale. My first time really on the big stage, where essentially we ended up plugging and selling a pay-per-view, as a main event. So, I wanted to behave and come across a particular way. I wanted to convince people that I'm not an underdog. I shouldn't be an underdog. And even if I am, trust me, I don't believe that for 1 second. I am cool, calm, composed. I know this guy. I know what it takes to beat him. And we'll do it, and we do it properly. So, I think that might have agitated him a bit. I think he was probably a bit nervous with the confrontations that we have to do pre-fight. He would be much more content if we just fight, but my game plan was just to come in, listen to what he's got to say, anticipate what he's going to say, I should be honest, beforehand, and have a quick and sharp and composed and calm answer straight away, it worked. It was great for telly. Sky used to do an episode of Ringside that went out weekly, and is still their biggest ever episode, where I think it got the most views, most clicks. People still talk about it now. So
because you had the suit and that on.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm peacocking. I got to be honest. I'm peacocking. I'm trying to make a scene, make a show of myself, and I'll come in a suit with a Larry tie because I'm young and brash, and this is me. This is me. Knowing full well that it would be a stark contrast to what James was going to wear, because I just assumed he would come in a tracksuit. And it doesn't matter how designer the tracksuit is. You're sitting on a stool with your t-shirt half undone. It looks a bit, to me, it would look a bit,
unprofessional.
So I'll come suited and booted. We're here. Any excuse for me to put a shirt on. I wear a tracksuit to work every day when I go to the gym. So if I can put a shirt on, great for me. If he can sit down, the tie's there. If he's going to mention the tie, I take that as a win. And it's not the first time I've said it, but he doesn't know this is my mindset. But I'm like, if he mentions my tie, I've won. Like, I've won the argument. I've won the debate, because we're here to talk about boxing, and he can't compete with me talking about boxing. He's going to talk about the tie. So I remember coming out of that being like, I'm happy with that. I think that was really good. I think that came across really well. My part, I think people will buy into that. Whether they buy into me or not, I'm not sure, but I think I've done well there. And then when I watched it back, I was like, yeah, that was good. Yeah. I was happy with that.
Because that's you hitting the big stage then. Was that your plan, to come clean cut, like, well presented, new kid on the block, still undefeated, like British title, massive fight? Like, was that your plan, to go in with that kind of style and reputation?
I think so. I mean, I'd wanted to be come across. I mean, I'm not smart, you know. I'm not educated as such. I finished school, but I didn't want to come across as, you know, thick, like, you know, like I mean, that was the cliche for boxing. It felt like at that time there was a lot of boxers out there that were either just rough and ready and cheeky chappy and, you know, real working class, and every story's about, you know, boxing saved my life. If it wasn't boxing, I'd be out shooting and drinking and killing and this and that. And I was thinking, I don't know if that would have been me if I wasn't boxing, you know. But so yeah, I thought, well, I'm trying to do something a bit different. Always do something a bit different, because a bit different is interesting for me, you know. Like if I see someone in a particular field and they're doing something a little bit different, then like, I'm much more likely to gravitate towards that. Be conscious that not just the way I dress and the way I look, but also the things I say might help pick up traction, you know, in the press and keep journalists happy and stuff like that, which, you know, they've told me since, you know, it did. You know, I was one of half a dozen who could get in the national papers when that stuff sort of mattered, before we would do stuff like this, where this is now the medium that people, you know, eat up. But yeah, so I think that it was important. It was really important, and it helped with your boxing, because there was an element of game plan involved in that. It's like, if I can anticipate what he's gonna do and say now, it makes it much easier to anticipate what he's gonna do in the.
Despite their differences, the rivalry pushed them to be better fighters. And looking back, it's clear that their feud created some unforgettable moments in boxing history.
Who was it when the final bell went? Both of you lifted your hands, like tough 12 rounds, like both of you thought you'd win. Like, did you know, or did you think, fuck, this is close?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be honest with yourself, innit? 'Cause sometimes you watch it back and you might confuse a memory, but I genuinely believe that I was confident that I'd won the fight, because we would sort of I wasn't tallying up the rounds when I was sitting down, but there wasn't many rounds where I thought I've lost that round. There was rounds where I was sitting down, it's like, I've won that round, I've won that round, I've won that round. So I was convinced that I'd won the fight, and in my mind at the time I thought I'd won it more convincingly than the scorecards, or than, you know, retrospectively watching it back. Also wanted to know at this stage that in case that last round is the deciding round, then my hand shoots up, I've won this fight, just to give the judges and the general consensus of everyone watching at home that this is my fight, I've won this. And I think people were just surprised that I was in the fight, let alone winning the fight, because people thought you know, DeGale was just gonna walk through me. So yeah, I think once, you know, Jimmy Lennon Jr. is reading out the scorecards, it's dramatic, you know. You realise it's going to be a split decision or a majority decision. But once I realise there's a winner, I've got my hand up already, and it's just like, oh, yeah, this is nice.
What was it, 1 point? Two
yeah,
scorecards,
probably two scorecards, 1 point.
Draw? Like close fight,
majority split.
See that win there? Like, how does that then enhance your career? Because if you'd lost, how do you think you would have handled that? Like, rivalry, 2 undefeated fighters, to be the best in Britain at your weight, like, how do you think that then that would have, do you think that would have affected you and set you back, or do you think it would have pushed you on if you did lose that fight?
It would have been a massive setback at that point, a massive setback. I mean, I wouldn't really know how to quantum, like, the effects for that would be. Would it be me then doubting my team, like doubting Adam Booth, doubting the setup, doubting myself in that I've gone along with this idea of fighting? Was that right? Was that wrong? Anxiety about where I go next, because you know, as I say, I'm still the fighter trying to emerge, trying to build a name. So you get beat at this stage, you're right to the back of the queue, and it might take, you know, a couple of years to sort of come again. I had no major promoter behind me. It would have been, you know, terrible. So it was that in itself means that it's like a career. The importance of that win, my career, was huge.
Thanks for watching this video about the intense rivalry between George Groves and James DeGale. If you enjoyed learning about this story, Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos on boxing rivalries and unforgettable moments in sports history.